JJ's, you're reading some books, some interesting books.
Always,
Yeah.
always, my bro.
And I wanna definitely draw on that in terms of draw that out if you can, what you're learning within, and particularly because obviously we get a lot of feedback around it's not about race and it shouldn't be, but it seems to be when we start to look at the history books and the present day experience. So from your understanding and your learning, is there anything that you can draw on that, you know, obviously we know it shouldn't be about race, but it is. So what is it about race that is so significant?
It's quite ironic. Like, a brethren of mine invited me to a talk, a Frantz Fanon talk. Frantz Fanon, being born from Martinique, went to fight for the Algerian Revolution, and he was a doctor, but while he was there, he was smuggling arms under the table for the revolution. But the question is, the man that gave the speech was talking about how there's different Fanons. And I realized when I was there in this environment, they loved the left-wing Fanon who talked about socialism, who talked about the working class people, wherever they are, coming together and solving this problem. Yeah, and this ideas I've played with before. But then the other Fanon is my Fanon. This is our Fanon, which is the Fanon that talks about black skin, white masks. It talks about the concept of a black person feeling inferior and being uncomfortable to even speak Creole. They want to speak French because it's the better way of speaking. He talks about the working class not being the revolutionary class because the working class have pushed themselves into the colonizers' metropolis. You know, even though they're the working class, they're still there chasing the BMWs, the blonde hair, the Louis V, and all of the other trinkets of Western society, when that doesn't equate to, if we're going to talk about the concept of it, manhood. It talks about a level of service and a level of boyhood, because you know, as the left-wing people say, the goods and services of society, the means of the produce, are not in the hands of that class. They're just working for colonialism and the people that run colonialism. Yeah. So their whole idea is identity politics ain't where it's at, and that's a confusion, because capitalism created racism. Capitalism created it as a necessary outcome. So it's difficult to deal with. It's all these big words, man. It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's really confusing. All these concepts, you're thinking, what?
No,
Confusion and chaos, isn't it?
100%.
And this is how you could be running around in circles, chasing your tail, not even knowing.
Yeah.
You don't know where to shoot anymore.
It's the language, innit? It's a mask to hide what really is. When the reality is that there's a group of individuals that hate themselves. And what they've done is they've taken their hate and their pain out on others. So they hate themselves so much that they have to go and interfere in others' business, right? Look past the trust and the love that these individuals have given them and think, oh, they can't really see what we're on. Oh, they trust us. Slaughter. But
I shouldn't even laugh, bro.
no.
I'm
But
just like, I'm desensitized. How many times, how many stories have we read? Like,
I like you said that,
death is
though.
not.
I like you said that. How many stories? Do you know how many stories? Do you know how many examples that there are of melanated people being violated by other races? It's non-stop. In fact, the story hasn't changed. So when you spoke about language making it a much more complex thing to acknowledge, it's simple. If someone violates you, if someone is here to cause you harm, right, and there's actually evidence, historical context of these things happening from centuries to now, what more do you need? What more do you need? What more do you need for you to say, oh, do you know what? It's in my best interest if I don't fuck with you, and you. Because evidence shows that you hate yourselves, so ultimately you're gonna hate us. And you don't know how to deal with us.
You're uncomfortable.
Another book I was reading, yeah, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, yeah, and the man keeps talking about the oppressor doesn't have the tools in order to improve society and to be able to create harmony and justice. The role is upon the oppressed.
That's quite interesting.
That's mad, isn't it? It's a two-way thing, because on one hand, I remember having this debate or this discussion with this gentleman at work one time, and he was talking about how he loves Mandela because Mandela he didn't have hate in his heart. He put everything to the back, and he did what he had to do in order to bring the people together and all of those things. I'm saying, bro,
It's disgraceful.
if you think about what the man went through in prison, then when he got out of prison, he was prisoned even when he got out of prison, and when he wouldn't even go and see him. Excuse me, because they kept him in the house, and they was controlling. He was coming in and out of the house, and they was watching everything. It was only after that he got made president, and then he signed off. As from the information I got, if anyone knows anything different, send it in, comment, yeah, and give us some research. But he went and he signed off for the people to continue the mines and continue collecting the wealth from out of South Africa. Now, when these people came in, they came in with a gun, yeah? People lost their lives in order for them to be able to get them things. But unfortunately, the way that he saw moving forward in society meant that these people can continue taking the wealth out of it, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's always this responsibility upon the oppressed to have a heart for peace, to have the heart for unity, to have the heart for dealing with the world. But we have the responsibility of doing so with the most loving heart. Figures like Gandhi get held up and Martin Luther King. This concept of pacifism is consistently thrown in our face as the best way of dealing with things against people that have no... Again, we don't have the time for the stories, for the level of brutality people go to take from you what they want, that what's yours, and they have no interest in paying for.
There's these individuals that hear someone like me talk and kind of use the example of, why can't we just love and embrace everybody, right? As if to say, right, the person who can see it for what it is, say what it is a problem. Problem to who? Because if evidence suggests that black people are in no position to fuck with any of these groups, why would I have the problem? Isn't it the individual who still says, we should just love everyone, we should embrace everyone? Wasn't that a part of the problem? People who we did not understand, did not really know, because if we knew deep down that these people were gonna come, conquer, slay, rape, kill, would we have embraced them or killed them off? That's a question.
You know what? That's mad. You know, I was watching this documentary and it was about the Mayflower, and it was saying the Mayflower was that boat that went to what we now call America, yeah. And these people got off the boat. They put up their fences as they always do, and they started trying to live off the land. But they had guns, but they couldn't grow nothing, so they kept trading with the locals. And the locals was like, look, give us some of them guns, innit? They look nice, and we'll give you some veg in it. And they said, we're not giving away the guns. They said, well, all right, well, see you when you're ready to give up the guns. And they let them go hungry. There was one girl, I don't know why Pocahontas is coming to my head, but because I was thinking of her at the time, but there was one girl that went behind the back of the elders to go and start sneaking them food because it appealed to her humanity. Watching other humans struggling and going hungry appealed to her humanity, so she went and done that. That is an act of a human. That's a beautiful thing. Would she do that? if she could fast forward 600 years and see the state of her island, to see the state of her nation, to see what things have been done on the back of her homeland being taken from her. So the concept of having a heart and having love in your heart is really a shocking one for a lot of people, because it just seems, when you hear people like Malcolm talk, you hear Khaled, you hear these people, you hear my brother here, you hear them talk, you think, man, this is scary, man, there's a fire burning. But people say the same thing when they're looking over a fence and seeing a big old German Shepherd, pit bull, XL bully, whatever. But at the same time, what they don't recognize is there's a little 2-year-old running around barefoot in there as well, with a piece of chicken in their hand. But the dog's not barking at that 2-year-old or looking for the food from that 2-year-old. The dog's barking at you, saying, what are you doing here? I've got to be careful. So you look at this dog and you say, that's a dangerous dog. Not to that 2-year-old that don't know left, right, up, down, or none of them things. That is the safest thing on the planet to that dog. So we're talking about the motivation of love. So when people come and they start to dissect and say you're hateful and all of these things, we have to turn around and discuss, what does hate look like and what does love look like? Because anybody watching this, whether you agree or disagree with us, whether you're one of us or you're not one of us, you also have something in your heart that you love so dearly that there's nothing on this planet that can be safe while crossing that threshold. You understand? But what you're looking at are two brothers that genuinely, with their whole heart, love their people. I stand on the back of my grandma. I stand on the back of my you understand? I go to Jamaica and I see my cousins and I hear how they talk and I realize they never left the plantation. They're still here. The conditions are not any changing. We always complain about our leaders, but our leaders are just trade unionists, if we think about it. And the best thing that they can do is petition to the power, to the people that really have power, and petition for them for better working conditions for the people within their countries. Do you see what I'm saying? So with the power dynamic is not changing, and it hasn't changed. Kwame Nkrumah wrote books about neo-colonialism. How many of us have read them? How many of us know how to source them or the titles of them? We talk about, being black, and I am black, so that's what it is. But you don't just inherit blackness from having this skin. It's a mad concept now. You can be native, but you don't have that revolutionary spirit. You know what I'm saying? We had African ancestors that welcomed people into their land. Welcome Europeans, welcome the Arabs. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when they got clued up, that's when they got revolutionary. Me personally, I call that black. A lot of people say, I don't want to be black. You don't have to be black. But unfortunately, at this very moment, black is a response. It's a revolutionary response. It's that guard dog. Yeah? It's that guard dog that knows the last time someone got over this fence, put my little baby, the baby in harm. So I gotta go ham at the thought of the postman even coming here. And I don't know who you are, but you're all danger to us now.
And it's very Bible-ish, as in, okay, so we have to tolerate the violations upon violation upon violations, but we must forgive you in order for us to get to heaven. What? So basically, we have to stomach this for eternity just to get to heaven.